Well, welcome back to Meijer Gardens. I'm Rick Margo, horticulturist here at Frederik Meijer Gardens in Sculpture Park. We are going to be talking today about planting annuals and planting perennials and finding out the difference between the two so you're able to choose the right plant. So both annuals and perennials have their place in the garden. The one thing to remember about annuals is that they are planted only once a year. So they will not come back the following year. They also don't require as much soil, so you can plant them in a fairly shallow area. Now, a perennial will come back every year, depending on the perennial. So what you want to do is find out, do I have actually a biennial, which is only going to come back every other year or 2 years? Or is it an actual perennial that'll stick with me for many years? The perennials will require deep soil planting, so you want to make sure that you remember that whatever space you're going to choose, you want to have ample room at the bottom to get the perennial in the ground. Now, the best way to remember an annual versus a perennial is perennial, P-E-R, per year. So every year it's going to come back. Annual, A, one year. So we'll talk about annuals first. In the early spring, you can start some of your things inside in the greenhouses. So for actually for the annuals, this celosia is being started right now, and then we'll go out into the garden shortly. And then you can sow them right into your garden. It isn't necessary, again, to plant them too deeply. So you want to fertilize right after doing that. And before fertilizing, you might also want to check the pH. Find out what the pH balance is inside the garden. Make sure it's suitable for the annual you want to grow. And for sun-loving, remember at least 6 hours of sunlight per day for sun-loving annuals. Don't plant annuals where you're going to have a problem with another plant, like a tree roots. Things like that. They're going to rob the moisture of the soil. And if you have poor drainage, you're going to have root rot in your annuals or perennials. So you may want to think about raising the beds up. And you can do that either by berming or actually doing a raised bed. All right, for perennials, this is going to be your per year. So these are going to be coming back. These are long-term tenants. They're not something that's going to be a short-term. So you want to make sure that you're preparing the site properly. And you first want to determine the proper blooming time. So the season that you want them to bloom, you want to choose that. You want to decide whether that's spring, summer, or fall. And the decision will also include where that plant is to be located. So if it's going to be in a position that it might be a little shady, you might want to think about a shady perennial. Where the sunny, you might want to choose sunny perennial. And remember, at least, again, for 6 hours for your sunny perennials, just like your annuals. Again, like your annuals, you're going to want to have good drainage. These echinacea here are being grown in right now, and one of the key things, again, is really good drainage for these guys. Root rot will happen quickly on your perennials, so you want to make sure, again, that they're up and that drainage goes well, they're not sitting in a swamp of water, and that you can do that by either, again, raised beds, berms, that type of thing if you're in a soggy area. And then you want to prepare the bed, preferably in the fall before you actually do the planting. So if you're able to design your garden and get it there, do any of the tilling and or get some mulch down so things can really start developing for the perennial. So all you have to do is plant in the spring. That's ideal for the perennial. And remember, again, the depth. I think about 2 feet of prep work is excellent for a lot of perennials. For some places, maybe you don't have to go that deep. So I hope all of these things have been helpful to you. Good luck this summer, and we'll look forward to seeing your garden. Thanks a lot.